outspoken.
David, so you just returned from a Flat Earth conference, so they apparently have these as well, which they didn't have back, 1,000 years ago when they believed it was flat, right?
Well, there's a problem there. 1,000 years ago, in the mid-1900s, everybody knew the Earth was flat, and they were teaching flat Earth here up until the early 1950s in school. So the whole idea that it was 2,000 years ago that they thought the Earth was flat, and they figured out the Earth was a ball. That's a made-up story. Those are stories to make you laugh at flat Earth. So yeah, we had a conference. It was called Flattoberfest. This is the first year it was held in Las Vegas, so it could be more international. We had people from the Netherlands, from Australia, from Newfoundland, not Newfoundland, what's off of Australia? I'm spacing.
New Zealand.
New Zealand, right? There's probably someone from Newfoundland also.
The wrong hemisphere.
I'm a little fried. Hemiplane. And it was an amazing conference. And it was, I was there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and left Monday. And it was amazing. Just people, just everywhere you turn, Sophia, when you're in a group of people, you turn and you see someone you've never seen before, you have more in common with that person that you've never seen before than anywhere else that you'll find yourself, like any job matching site or dating site or anything. You won't have as much in common with everyone that was at that conference because they're all awake and aware, unplugged, unjabbed, and looking for truth. And it's just such a great energy being there.
David, we're going to jumble up this show like mad. I know we are. I should introduce the show. It's called Mixed Nuts. I think this is my 3rd episode on People for People Radio. I was graciously offered a slot and I took it. And I have wonderful producers, Braveheart and Guinevere, as I call them. And David, you are my 3rd guest. But here's the thing. I don't even know how this all began, right? How did this begin to make you such a nut?
So it all began, I was always looking, questioning things. And the first, one of the earliest things I looked into was what is money? And I think it was Money Masters that I saw that made me question that. And then I started questioning the IRS, and I was looking into all of that. And I was working in a corporate solar power company. And my buddy Tim and I, we'd be, talking in the lunchroom about, the money's not real and the Federal Reserve is not federal and all of this stuff. And people would be listening in. And every day people would be gathering in the lunchroom waiting for us to talk. And then one day he said to me, he goes, hey, my friend Mike Cannon, who's a comedian in New York, at the comedy club, New York Comedy Club, they are opening up a podcast studio, and there's an option for us to do a podcast. And he had the idea, we'll be 2 truthers and somebody that tries to turn everything into a fart joke would be the setup. And my comment was, what's a podcast, right? I had no idea. And so I was like, all right, let's do it. And for 3 years, we were there looking at all of the deceptions, New York, Connecticut, Boston, and everything else, right? And so we literally, that place, when the management in that place, when we were done with our first episode, which was titled 9/11 is Dave's Baby, because I exposed that these people in New York had no idea that 9/11 wasn't what we were told. And after the 2nd year, people started sending me flat Earth stuff. And I just would delete them, ban them from ever commenting again, because they're too stupid to listen to our Comedy Truth podcast.
Okay. And when was the 2nd year? What time frame are we talking?
2014, give or take. I'm not good with the years. Yeah, sometime around 2014. And so one day, and then that's it. I live in Connecticut, and it's in Manhattan. And I was talking to you, Sofia Smallstorm, on the telephone. And I get in the car, and for those of you that don't know, Sofia is a talker, and we talk for extended periods of time. And I literally got to the city, parked. I'm in the studio, and I'm still talking to her. I'm setting up for the podcast. And while I'm talking to her, I'm banning people from our Facebook chat for mentioning flat Earth. I'm banning them because I'm like, just get this garbage off of here. I don't have time for this. And at the end of the conversation, we were talking about a big shooting event that had happened. And I said, Sophia, I'm blown away on the amount of deception there is in the world. I remember where I was standing, who was in the room, I remember everything about this conversation. And I said, there's so much deception in this world. It's mind blowing. And you said, oh, David, it's worse than that. I think the earth might be flat. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Not you too. And I think you sent me Mark Sargent's Clues or a couple videos or something. You said, watch these. And I watched them and I said, that's interesting, but I'm going to disprove it, right? When somebody says, hey, check out this lie, this deception, you go in looking for the truth. I went in looking to disprove it. I went in as a normie going, this is stupid. I'm going to put an end to this flat earth movement. And since then, I've, everything I worked for in my life to end up having my own company, being the CEO of my own company, I walked away from it all to spread this word, because this is the most important topic of all, because it is the foundation. The flat earth is the foundation for all of the other lies to exist.
David, that was a very good delivery. And I do remember that I had a very long conversation with you that ended up in your studio in New York. I remember I said to you, the earth might be flat, but I thought you agreed. You see, this part I don't remember at all. And it was Greg from Houston who had turned me onto it. And I went to the beach the day that he talked to me about it. And I looked around and I saw the ocean flat as a pancake, the horizon. I said, you know what? This could actually be true. My eyes are not lying to me. I don't see anything round. And I looked at all the people walking and collecting shells with their children, and I thought, how sad. They don't know this. That's so sad. They're living in a complete illusion, delusion. So, David, tell me why this is the most important thing. Why?
Well, let me get to that in 1 second. But the thing that got me when I was watching these videos, and then back then, YouTube would go, oh, you like this? Let me show you some other quality flat earth research that other researchers are doing that are on this same topic. And they would feed you video after video after video. Now it's completely different. All of that's hidden. We'll talk about that in a moment, how the censorship is amazing. And actually, the censorship actually proves that there's something to flat earth. But and when it got me, I live in the same town my whole life in Connecticut, and I'm on the water all the time. And the thing is, boats over the horizon, right? And they said, well, you can zoom in on these boats. So I bought a super zoom, powerful camera that had just come out, the Nikon P900, and I got a tripod and I went down to the beach and you could zoom in. I'm showing right here an image. There's no boat on the horizon, but as I zoom in, I'm increasing the angular size, and all of a sudden you can see there's a boat. Now, if you really think about it, that boat can't be hidden behind a physical curve. It's right there. But if my finger was a wave, my finger can't hide the whole boat unless the boat gets really small, and then it can. So these little waves in the foreground will make a boat disappear from the bottom up as it gets smaller into the distance. So once I wrap my head around that, I'm like, well, there goes that proof of the ball, because that's the number one proof people come up with. And I went one by one by one by one. And then I got like sunsets, seasons. And, they figured it out 2,000 years ago with Eratosthenes. And after each one of those got knocked down, I threw my hands up and said, what difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. Sophia, I don't even know what today is, because I don't have to go to work on Monday. Right? I looked at my calendar. I have 3 interviews today. I got Sophia. I'm in my home. Life is amazing. Okay. So everything changed for me. But that's not the reason that it matters. It's not the shape of the earth that matters. Flat is not a shape. Flat is a description of level, horizontal, stationary. It means non-moving, non-rotating, right? Every experiment ever done to prove axial rotation or curvature has proven the opposite. And once you understand that you're not a speck of dust flying through an infinite galaxy where an asteroid could take us out, where we're running out of food, we're running out of fuel, we're overpopulated, all of that is nonsense, right? They want you living in fear and lack and insignificance. Right? So we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, we're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour, we're chasing the sun at close to 500,000 miles an hour. That entire system's moving sideways over 1 million miles per hour. but you can't feel it. You can't sense it, right? And you know what parallax is, right? So I got my two fists here, and as I move, they can change positions to you because of parallax. One's closer, one's farther. And do you know that through all of history, with all of our spiraling and traveling 4.4 billion miles a year, our little solar system moves 4.4 billion miles a year. And they tell us that the vast majority of the stars in our solar system are binary stars, which means they orbit around each other, a binary star system. That's what they tell us. So we got binary star systems, all moving in their own directions, spinning galaxy, we're moving, and never once in all of history have two stars crossed each other's path from our point of view. Let that sink in, because you can't, there is no explanation for that in a beehive, heliocentric, spinning, wobbling, rocketing star system, right? So they never have two cross. So getting back to why the lie, we're at the center of creation, okay? Flat Earth proves that. We're in a realm that is intelligently designed. That's where I draw the line. There is a creator. I never tell anyone who the creator is, where it came from, anything like that, because that's your own journey. My job, I feel, is to bring people to the point, because I got brought to this point where I was, I guess you can call me an atheist. So it's horrifying to even say that now. It made me realize there's a creator, so I have no choice. I cannot deny creation. And then your journey after that, with the creator, brings you to, it brings you to your full power. So if you can be fooled about where you live, where you're standing, if you can be told that all of your senses, that you're stationary, that you're upright, are nonsense, you can be taught that, 90-pound autistic children can kill better than any Navy SEAL team could. You can be taught that 2 planes can knock down 7 buildings, right? And another plane could hit the ground so hard that the ground swallows it so deep that they can't dig it out, okay? You can be told anything, right? And if you live in that world where you don't know where you're standing, you can be manipulated, right? If you don't know, then nobody can take away your God-given free will, then nobody can. I mean, if you don't know it, then they can. So the why it matters goes super deep. And I think it is the most important question to ask once you have the evidence that you believe proves the Earth is a globe, because I believe that there's 1,000 reasons that the Earth is a globe and 0 for flat Earth. Well, that's not true. There's unlimited flat Earth proofs and there's 0 globe proofs. And I'm so confident I offer 3 Bitcoins, which is almost 100 grand right now, for 1 globe proof. And this has been standing for years now, and nobody has been even able to come close.
David, I understand that this is very exciting, and I would say that you have done better at this kind of self-education than you ever did in school or college, right? You've learned this better, and you're like the professor.
In school, you don't learn anything in school. You learn how to memorize and regurgitate, and if you did it really well, you could become the teacher of the next generation. Teachers aren't liars. They're just indoctrinated memorization regurgitators, okay? And where do our textbooks come from? Well, the Rockefellers in the early 1900s took over the school system and offered textbooks at a price so low, like far below cost, that no other textbook company could ever compete with them. And you want the funding for the school? You need to teach this. Right?
Okay, then wait. I have a question. You said the Rockefellers in the early 1900s with their textbooks, but then you also said a few minutes ago that as recently as the 1950s, they were teaching flat Earth in schools. Which schools? American schools?
In America, all over the place. So I don't know if you remember, if you saw my interview with Ruth, the 102-year-old woman. My mom was living in an assisted living place in Florida, and I was visiting her. My mom was taking a nap, and I went to the nurses and said, "Is there anyone here over 100 years old that has their wits about them?" And they go, "Oh yes, Ruth. She's 102. She's sitting right over there in the lunchroom all by herself." And I'm like, "Can I go talk to her?" They're like, "Sure." And I wanted to talk to her about the World's Fairs, because I was really researching the World's Fairs, which is a rabbit hole so deep that you could dive in head first, you'll never hit the bottom. And I went to her and I'm talking about it. She's talking about how it was lit up and all of this stuff and everything. And her memory was fantastic. She was like sharper than me, maybe, right? She was like with it. And I said, where did you go to school? And she said, in Hamden, I think it was Hamden, Connecticut. It was in Connecticut. And I was like, do you remember the name of your elementary school? And she's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And she told me the teacher's name too. I'm like, wow, I don't think I can remember my kindergarten or first grade teacher's name. And I said, what did they teach you in school about the shape of the earth or about the earth? And she looked at me, and I had never mentioned flat earth. She looked at me, she goes, they taught me the earth was flat. And then after that, she said, years later, they changed the story. And she's like, well, they must know. They're the ones that, teachers with the textbooks. So that was in 1925 that she was taught the earth was flat. But since then, we found people that said that in the 1950s here in America, they were teaching flat earth and globe earth because they didn't know. They were like, it could be this, it could be this, right? So the whole, and you can't convert everyone all at once. They were getting pockets of people. And if you think about it, I mean, back in the 50s, like if there was a state, a town, a village that was teaching one thing, how would anyone else even know other than if they printed it in a newspaper and that newspaper happened to get to that person? There was no internet. There's no nothing. So they basically took it over. Good.
All right, listen, I want to ask you to post an image of the dinner plate with the circle of penguins around it. That's my way of describing Antarctica. Do you have an image? I mean, your app looks like that, but remember the flat earth clock you made? I want you to show that and show it nice and clearly.
This isn't good right here.
It's okay. All right. You don't have a better image?
Something.
Come on, look. All right, so the way I'm going to describe it is, okay, that's a map, right? That's an older map.
I know what you're looking for. You're looking for
that simple graphic. So David always describes the flat earth as being like a dinner plate, slightly soup bowl shaped, with a lot of water in the dish. And the land masses are where the water isn't. And around the edge is an entire ring at the edge of the dinner plate of ice. And so when you look at Antarctica in any videos or film footage, which I have done, I was in the dentist chair one day and I was having a lot of work done, and above he had a very fancy TV installed in the ceiling. They were showing this exploratory video of Antarctica, and it was just ice cliffs. There was not a shoreline sloped like we have, just these gigantic cliffs. So that is an ice wall around the edge, and the United Nations flag shows us the same diagrammatic configuration, right, David?
Yeah, 100%. The United Nations, all of the agencies that kind of run the world, they have they use the flat Earth map, which is the Gleason's map, which was in encyclopedias and libraries, and that was all removed in the 1950s or around there, and it was just kind of taken out and moved away, right? So here is, let me show you this. This is, since you mentioned United Nations, this is United Nations map, flat Earth map. It's got these leaves around it. And then we go to, this is the World Meteorological Organization, same map, right? These are the organizations that literally run the world. International Civil Aviation Organization, flat Earth map, right? And then when we show our flat Earth map, they're like, okay, this one's good, this one's good, this one's good, no problem. Oh, this one's no good, okay? It's the same map. So, you know, they're showing us everywhere. And this is the United Nations building. I think it's in Africa. Yeah, in Africa. They got this flat Earth map down here. And also, I'm seeing a lot of sixes in here, but that could just be Conspiracy Dave talking.
So I'm going to tell people, listen, I did not get into flat Earth to the extent that our buddy David has. He has done his due diligence, and this is his religion now, right, David? Pretty much.
Well, religion, this is my science. This is what I'm not trying to prove or disprove anything. I'm just looking for truth. So I look for evidence and I analyze the evidence. Sophia, you know the answer, but your producers are listening. If I asked them where I live, they would say Connecticut. I said it twice. Okay. Is that a belief or do they know it? Well, it's a belief because they don't know it. I just said it. Right. And we live in this world where we need to trust people. We need to trust what people say. Otherwise, we'd have to verify everything. We'd never get anywhere. Right. But if they wanted to know the truth, you believe, boom. It's faster than that. I believe it. Done. You want to know it? Maybe they go on Facebook, they find me, they find my friends. They're like, oh, they all live here. And oh, look, here's a picture. Oh, look, here's his high school. And then they go on eBay and they buy my high school yearbook and they see me in there. Now they have a good amount of evidence that I live in Connecticut. That takes time, effort, money. Time is money. And most people aren't going to do that. People want the easy way, right? Belief is the easy way out. I'm not a believer. I want to know things.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you, and I've told you this before, but I'm going to share with the listeners what made me really go in the direction of my eyes are telling me the truth. So it was my friend Adam, who's also a host, radio host in Australia, and he's married to a woman from Chile. So they visit South America and Australia. They go between the two fairly frequently. And he told me that, you know, you can book a flight that's said to be a 7-hour flight from Australia to Santiago, Chile, but you can never get on that flight. You are always sent on some, you know, helter-skelter, long 14, 16-hour trip, and you refuel in North America. And when I heard this, that he tries to book these flights, can't get on them, they don't take off, they're ultimately always rerouted, rescheduled, a much longer flight, and you're refueling in North America. That's when I said, okay, something's up. You want to answer that comment?
Yeah, 100%. So we used to think that the flight from Santiago to Australia did not exist, but we found out it actually does exist. However, it's often canceled at the last second and rerouted to a non-direct flight. However, we did do to prove that it existed because we had people swearing up and down. Max Egan, let's say he at that time was not a flat earther, he hated flat Earth. Now let's say he doesn't know what the world is, and I'm fine with that. But he took the flight and we did a live stream. He's in the airport. We're live streaming with him. We see him board the plane. He's on the plane takes off, and then we lose signal. We kept the live stream going for 14 hours. We tracked the plane, and they're showing it, you know, flying where we don't think it went. And he was on the plane doing compass measurements, okay, compass readings. And when he did that, his compass readings actually proved the Earth, proved that it's that showed flat. So let me show you. Let me just get rid of that image. Sorry about that. Where did that go? There we go. So Max showed he's flying from I think it was Sao Paulo or down in South America, and he showed a track. These green lines are northwest. This purple line right here, which is kind of hard to see, that's west, and then this is southwest, southwest, and south. So if this is the North Pole, think of a compass. I'm here. That compass is pointing to the North Pole, and it's going northwest, northwest. As it passes the North Pole, it's west just for a split second. Then it's southwest, southwest, and south. That's what his compass said. So his compass said he went from here all the way to here. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So let's explain something. On the flat Earth, the dinner plate, the North Pole is in the center, and there is no South Pole. This is the beauty of it, and it is backed up by the fact that their compasses only show magnetic north. There is no south. They never point south. They're always pointing north, right? To the magnetic north, the center.
Correct. Compasses in the south, if the Earth was a globe with a molten magnetic core, scientifically impossible. When you go south of the equator, your compass should point to the south. On the equator, a compass shouldn't even work because it wouldn't know which way to point, but it works perfectly fine on the equator. When you get to Antarctica, compasses stop working because they're so far away from the North Pole, they don't work.
All right, so David, explain how the sun circles between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn to make our day and night. We have a question from a listener.
Yes. So let me make this a little bigger for you. So there, if you look at this map very carefully, this is on my app, and you'll see 3 circles. The outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. In between, and then the inner yellow line circle is the Tropic of Cancer, and the little thin red line in the halfway in between is the equator. So right now it's October 25th. I'm going to jump forward to October, November, December. So in December, the sun is all the way out over the Tropic of Capricorn. Okay.
And it's circling very fast, right? It's fast.
Well, I got it. It's going faster than 1,000 miles an hour. Okay. But that's a more advanced discussion, and I'll show people where to get information on that. But it goes all the way around. So the seasons in Central South America, it's summer. In Australia, it's summer. This is December. Wait a minute. In the north, it's winter. In Connecticut, it's freezing cold here in December. That's because the sun is far away, right? So it's going to go right over Australia there, and they have their summer. 6 months later, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the sun moves all the way into the Tropic of Cancer, and it's very close to us. The sun is a heat source. Everybody can understand that. When it's closer, it's warmer. In the helio-nonsensical model, they tell us that during our December winter in the north, the sun is farther away, 3.5 million miles farther than it is in our summer. And it's the angle, the tilt of the earth, that's causing the light to spread out, the heat to spread out, and diluting the heat. Well, that's ridiculous, because in June, when the sun is on the horizon first thing in the morning, I could feel the heat on my face. It's very warm, right? That is the farthest tilted you can be when it's on the horizon. And in December at noon, when the sun is, as high as it can be for the day, I could look up at the sun here in Connecticut and I don't feel the heat at all. And it's 3.5 million miles closer, more direct angle. So when you get into seasons, that proves that only works on a flat earth, right? Sophia, you come to visit me here in Connecticut in February. It's freezing, okay? And we decide to go sit out on the lawn, but we're going to stay 20 feet apart because we don't want to get each other sick, right? Okay, so we're 20 feet apart, and we're trying to drink our mocktails, right? No alcohol. And they're freezing because it's freezing. And then Paige comes out, and she's got a 15-foot pole with a big heat lamp, and she holds it 15 feet over your head. And you're like, that's much better. And your drink melts, and you take off your coat. And I'm sitting 20 feet away, and I say, Sophia, where is that heat lamp, that sun? And you're like, well, it's right over me. And you point up, okay? And I say, well, it's not up for me. It's over there. It's like it's much lower in the sky for me because I'm 20 feet away. So Paige slowly walks over. It takes her 6 months. And she doesn't lower it. And I watch it get higher and higher and higher and higher until it's over me. I'm warm, you're cold. The sun's higher in the sky for me, and it's lower in the sky for you because it's farther away. That's how seasons work.
Yes, and this is the failure of the solar system lessons that I learned in grade school. I could never believe that they were giving me this, proof or their information that we were actually farther away from the sun when we had summer and we were closer, and it was all the angle. So the way that the sun works, it's above us. How many miles? Just give me a quick answer, because I want to do the teacher style regurgitation of this little lesson, the proper lesson. So how far away is it theorized to be above?
How would we know how far away it is? That's the short answer. The slightly other short answer, in my opinion, I don't think it's 25 miles away.
What?
Yeah. So the sun that we see, and again, we need another hour for this discussion. The sun that we see, I don't think is a physical sun at all. I think the sun that we see is within the firmament. We didn't get into that yet. And we're seeing a reflection or a focus point of energy. Like when you get a magnifying glass and you make that little hot spot on the ground and you're burning ants, like what, some people did when they were kids, probably not you. And if you lifted that up a foot, that point is still there, but it's in the air. That point of focused energy. I think that the sun is being focused in through the firmament into a spot in the sky that we all see within our personal atmospheric dome. We have tons of videos on this explaining it, and it makes perfect sense. We all see the sun in a position relative to our own, right? When I see the sun on the water, when I'm out on the water on Long Island Sound, and I see the sun on the water, it doesn't look as far as Montauk does from me. That's 65 miles. So it looks closer to me. So that makes a lot of sense on how we see the sun. So I think the real sun, you know what? I don't know. I don't know.
Because at one time, the flat earthers were theorizing about 4,000 miles.
Yeah.
3,000 to 4,000. But anyway, regardless, it's above us and it makes circles we'll just start at the Tropic of Capricorn, the far tropic that goes above Australia and South America and gives them their summer. So the sun is circling and it takes 24 hours to make a circle. And every day it starts the circle again and it makes its way around. And eventually it'll cross the equator. This is why it's hot at the equator, because the sun passes twice over the equator in 1 year. And by the time it gets to the Tropic of Cancer, which is above what we call the northern hemisphere, the central part of the dinner plate, then we have our summer. And those guys out at the Capricorn end of things, they have their winter. Now, this made more sense to me when you explained it to me, or Greg explained it to me, actually, because you didn't know this at that time. Way more than the models they show us in grade school about the solar system. Yeah. So you want to lay some kind of high-level theoretical thing on us now so that we can get all tangled up in a knot?
No, this isn't that theoretical, but again, they don't teach us how to think like this in school, but this is actually very, very simple. So, Sophia, when the sun sets in June, how long is it until it's totally dark? There's no sunlight left. Not visible sun.
A long time.
Yeah, like 90 minutes. Like for me, it's like 2 hours here in June and July, right? Sunset, it's still light for forever, okay? And so it's a longer time at my latitude and my position from sunset to total darkness. In the winter, besides having shorter days, I'm not talking about the length of the day because the sun's farther away. It sets due to perspective. And let me show you that. You're going to actually like my perspective slides. When the sun disappears, from that moment till darkness is like 20 minutes. It's much faster. Okay. Yep. So on a ball, the opposite should be true 6 months. So in June, for me, at my latitude, we have 90 minutes to 2 hours of sunlight. And in December, we have 20 minutes. Okay. So in December, somebody at the same southern latitude should have 90 minutes of light and 20 minutes in June when it's their winter. Make sense?
Supposedly, but I have a question about that. Go ahead.
So it makes sense. The thing is, we're doing measurements now. We have people in Australia and other places measuring the light from sunset to darkness. And everywhere in the world right now, no matter where you are, forget how long the day is, from sunset to dark is getting shorter for everybody everywhere. Okay? And in June, it gets longer. The reason is when the sun is going around the Tropic of Capricorn, it's going faster. It's actually traveling. So if the equator is 24,000 miles, 25,000 miles, like they say, maybe the Tropic of Capricorn is, let's say, at 34,000 miles. And the Tropic of Cancer is 17,000 miles, whatever the number is. It's moving slower, even though it goes around once a day, like the hour hand goes around once a day, but the tip is traveling faster than the inner part. It's the same with the sun. Because the sun's moving slower, from sunset to darkness, the sun doesn't run away that fast. It lasts longer. So once you understand that, that's only explainable on a flat Earth.
David, what's the force that makes the sun move around in a circle? Do you know? Is it some kind of magnetism?
Well, we live in this toroidal field, and we live on this dielectric plane in the center of the field, and I think that's where we exist. I don't think we can exist anywhere else. So that, magnetic energy, God, whatever you want to put, the name on it, feel free, because to understand the physics of the sky, when we can't even understand the physics of the things that we can touch here on Earth, have you looked into like magnetic superfluids? They do no, maybe just superfluids. They do incredible things. They go through glass, they climb up and climb down, and they do stuff that nobody can explain. And that's stuff that we can test and see and touch. Trying to figure out what something in the sky is, a light in the sky that we can't even tell how far it is, how big it is, what it is, if it's physical or not. I don't know the answer, and I don't think anybody does.
So you just answered that we're not sure exactly why it moves. It could be God, it could be magnetism or whatever. But beyond that ice shelf, and I have to tell you, those videos I saw, in fact, I have a gallery of photos of Antarctica. I'm sure you do too. And it's just cliffs, ice walls everywhere. Yeah. So they don't allow anybody access to Antarctica. You've got to be some kind of military base staff or a scientist. I want to talk about blue ice in a minute. But beyond what is there, are there any more sophisticated theories now as to what is beyond or upon that ice shelf? If you could go there, has anybody worked out anything beyond where we were a few years ago and this all began when I midwifed you?
We can speculate a lot. There's a lot of stories, like the Smoky God, the Iron Republic, and the navigator who crossed the ice wall. But these are all stories with some evidence. Could be faked. Who knows? But in the late 1800s, people were talking about more land beyond Antarctica. And to me, that rings true. And whether it's true or not, they're talking about more land beyond Antarctica. Okay, like what's going on there? How do you have more land? Admiral Byrd, he in the 1950s did Project High Jump, highest land, Antarctica, high jump, and he said that beyond from Middle America, beyond the South Pole, is more land filled with resources bigger than the United States that no human has ever set eyes or foot upon. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Let's look at that and ignore that Canada disappears because it's green. But from Middle America to Antarctica would be down here. Crossing the South Pole would put you out here. Well, don't you think if there was a continent the size of Antarctica that Australia and Africa would know about it? Okay. So that doesn't work on a globe. Well, they killed him. 6 months later, he's dead. He died in his sleep. Died suddenly. Wonder what happened there. And his logs were changed, but there's a lot of stories about more land, warm land, green land and animals and all sorts of stuff that's impossible on the ball. You there? Did I lose you? I don't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
David, remember the
muted.
guy Martin? He was
Leakey. Not Martin Leakey. Martin. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The guy from who lived in England and then he went to live in Spain, and he theorized the cosmic egg. What was his name? I have his video posted on my blog. The cosmic egg as the center theory of the universe. But anyway, beyond the wall is the planet Mars. Mars is the next ring. These are all rings. So this is my ring theory. This is as far as I've gotten in thinking about it. So you know what I'm talking about or not? The planets are rings.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So give us the scoop on that.
So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways, and again, to prove the Earth is flat, we don't need to go beyond Antarctica. But if I go here and I just type in map, hold on, you're talking about something like this. Like if we lived here, this is where we live, this ring is Antarctica, Here's another ring and another
Right,
ring, and there's
right.
other lands out here. Now, this is just a smaller piece of our pond, right? What if the world was set up like this, okay? Where we live at the center of this pond right here, right? And so we have our whole ecosystem here. We're trapped in this center part. I'll show you that in a second. And here are other pieces of the plane. Maybe this is Mars. Maybe this is Lemuria. Maybe this is, you know, whatever. Okay. These are other pieces of the plane, maybe a planet, piece of the plane. And this is all here on a flat Earth. Okay. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Let me just show you how I think that they did, how I think they do it. And I think, have you ever heard me talk about the ships in Antarctica?
No, go ahead.
So here's a ship tracking site, and anybody can go to these things. And we have all the ships. You click on a ship, it tells you all about them. It tells you, you know, where they are, what's on, you know, where they're going, captains, where they're registered, everything. Tons of information. But we saw a ship here, right? That ship is 730 miles from the closest port. How did it get there? And according to Google Maps, it's 1.9 miles higher than the elevation of Antarctica. So it would be in a hell of a canyon if that was an opening, right? Then we found another one, 905 miles. 905 miles is almost in the center of Antarctica. If they tell us, you know, it's pretty close, right? So what is going on there, right? So here is a map that was published in a Hawaiian newspaper in 1910, I think. And it shows all of these other continents out here, okay? So we clicked on the ship, and and it didn't have any information other than it was 580 meters long and 80 meters wide. That's bigger than any ship that I know. Okay, bigger than any ship that I know. And like, what's it doing out there? And all it said is where it was registered. It was registered on the nation of Kiribati. Have you ever heard of Kiribati?
No.
So where's Kiribati? We go on Google Earth. It's literally a sandbar in the middle of the South Pacific. I put a pin on it, and we zoom in, and we see here it is. Now, China recently gave them 10 or 11 billion dollars, and America has given them, the USA has given them tons, you know, and almost an equal amount recently. Okay, so that's interesting. So now we look at one thing on Kiribati. Somebody found is there's a Captain Cook Hotel. Captain Cook is the last guy in the early 1900s that tried to circumnavigate Antarctica, and it took him 3.5 years. He went over 68,000 miles. Wait a minute. Equator's only 25,000 miles. How does a little 13,000 mile around circumference turn into 68,000 miles unless the Earth is flat? All right, so that's interesting. That's strike two for me. Okay, and here we looked at some of the ships on Kiribati. It's hard to see here, but we clicked on all of them, and they had limited information either. Their destinations, ready for this, unknown or Christmas Island. All of them. Christmas Island. What the heck is up with that? Or unknown. So something secretive is going on here. So what's going on here? All right. Also, back in I think early 1900s, mid 1900s, they were doing all sorts of nuke testing there, and there's still articles now, you know. But one of the military guys said, "Oh, it was so horrible when the bomb went off. I put my hands over my face and I could see my bones through my hands." I'm like, is he watching too many Bugs Bunny cartoons? The articles are just obviously fake. And you got all these guys here, nuclear bombs going off here. It looks kind of clean, right? And these guys don't care. They're just walking around. Nuclear bomb just went off. They're walking around. So again, pure propaganda. Pure propaganda. This is a recent article, and this is an old recycled picture, okay? So one more thing, and then I'm going to go back to what's really going on here. On a globe spinning around, your time zones are 24 lines from the North Pole to the South Pole, equally spaced. So when you spin it, there are all your time zones, okay? But if we look on the time zone map, right, we have all of these lines. This is just laid out, but we have this one at the date line that zigzags all over the place, okay? It zigzags. It's like, what is going on? So if we take a closer look at that, this is what it looks like. It goes down over, cuts over 3.5 time zones. Why, how do you explain that on a ball? Now, I can explain it on a flat Earth, But what's right here in the most suspicious spot? That would be Kiribati. Okay? So Kiribati is an important trade route. All these countries are fighting over it. It's a little sandbar. We don't know what it's giving us. What if it is an important trade route? What if Kiribati has a trade route out here to other lands? Now, on a globe, this would show a ship in the middle of Antarctica, because they're not going to show you what's out here. They took all of that, they wrapped it around and said, you can't go here. You can't go here. Okay? So what if they're trading, I don't know, technology, weapons, tuna fish, children? I don't know. What if there's other trade routes out here? How would you know? You just learned about Kiribati on this discussion right here. So that's what I got to say about that.
So this Kiribati is an island. It's a very small island. They've gifted it huge amounts of money.
Yep.
And ships, explain about the mileage of the ships, where they're sighted off Antarctica or something. Just clarify that one more time.
So when we look at them, the tracking is putting them literally in the middle of the landmass. Like, what if we were looking at a ship and it showed an ocean ship and it showed up in Minnesota or Utah, right? Like, how did the ship get there? How did it get there? That's the same thing in the middle of America, Kansas. How does an ocean ship get to Kansas?
Okay, all right.
Right.
So you're very fortunate that this movement is occurring today and not when we had far less communication, because you have now scattered people all over the world, and they have the ability to communicate to one another, keep track of things. We have tracking ability, we have GPS, we have all kinds of technologies available to us. Even though we have a very small fraction of these technologies available to us, imagine if, we were trying to prove this 500 years ago. It would be much harder, right?
Sure, even 20 years ago.
Yeah. No, but the resurgence of this movement, it's a good thing that it's happening now and that people are as connected as they are. So you want to tell people about your app?
Sure. So let's talk about the censorship for a second first. So if you go into your YouTube, let's say you were researching the Apache Indians. And you look at some videos last year and 6 months ago and 2 weeks ago and yesterday. You can go into your YouTube history on your computer and say Apache Indians, and it'll show you all the videos that you watch on the Apache Indians, right? You understand how that works? Yes?
Right.
So you could even look up COVID. You can look up Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and it will remember all of those. Okay? So you can go to my channel, DITRH, where you can find real YouTube videos, or Jeranism, or Globebusters, or any of the other real channels, and watch a whole bunch of videos, and you'll look at your history, and there they are in chronological order, okay? And then as they get pushed down, they'll still be there. But if you search your history for Flat Earth, which all of them are in the titles and in the tags, none of them will show up. There is no other topic that YouTube does that to, except Flat Earth, right? That should ring alarm bells through the roof. That should convince you, okay, there's something to look here. If the fact checkers say don't, do. If they say do, don't, right? Google, search, and what will come up in your history are other Flat Earth videos that you didn't watch, the propaganda videos. The ones that if you search Flat Earth, those will come up. If you search Flat Earth Dave, Flat Earth proof, Flat Earth, top 10 reasons the Earth is flat, you're going to get the same propaganda videos, the ones that they're pushing, the ones that they think are going to gatekeep you and make you laugh at Flat Earth, right? But they're completely hiding it. So my app has one of the great features that people love is every day there's a daily video. And this is where I offer my 3 Bitcoins. I said, you want the Earth, prove the Earth, win the Bitcoins, you have to watch the video each day for 2 weeks. Short videos during the week, a little longer on the weekend sometimes. And at the end of that 2 weeks, send me a proof. But before you do, you got to hit the question mark button which is the frequently asked questions. And when you do that, save your questions in there, right? You have all the questions are in here. Hit it, watch it, then you're like, oh, well, I guess that didn't work. And then you could try again. And before you end up emailing me, you'll end up being a flat earther and you'll never have to email me. So that's one thing that the app does. And it does a ton of other things. But I wanted to just go back. How much time do we have, Sophia? Are we at a hard stop, or can we go a little longer?
No, we have about 10 more minutes.
All right. I wanted to just show you, we were talking about the sun, how the sun moves and everything. And I wanted to show you real quick about perspective on how the sun sets, because that's a big one that people have. So here is a perspective grid. Okay, this is how we see. The sides come in, the top goes down, everything merges to your horizontal eye zone, which is your eye level. Okay, so this guy, here's his eye level. And I'm going to throw this mountain in here. I got the sun up here. This mountain, Sophia, is thousands of feet over his head. You don't have to think about that because you know it. The mountain is thousands of feet over his head. The sun is over the mountain. Now, as the sun moves away, it's just going away. It's not going down. It's now behind the mountain. Now, you know that the sun's not below the horizon. It's behind the mountain. If he went up in the air, we got a balloon and floated it up, he could see the sun again. Or if he went backwards a couple miles, he'd have a better angle and he'd be able to see the sun. So let's move him backwards. We'll move the mountain away, fill in the sides, fill in the foreground, and now we can see the sun again. He's way back. But he knows, though, that the top of this mountain right here that appears to be at his eye level is thousands of feet over his head, and the sun is thousands of feet over that mountain. Now now we'll push the sun away again, and it's going beyond this mountain, which is over his head. Add the sky. So we have these clouds, and the clouds all merge into the horizontal eye zone, and they also merge here. So as the sun goes away, it goes beyond those clouds, and that's it. It's not below them. This line right here represents the top of the mountain, thousands of feet over his head. This line here also represents the clouds, which are thousands of feet over the mountain, and the sun just went beyond it. Okay? That's one of the hardest things for people to get. But when you understand this is how we see, then you understand that sun didn't go below a ball. It just went beyond what you see at your horizon. Well, what if there's just water out there and no mountains and no clouds? The air becomes opaque at 50, 100 miles, 150 miles, and the sun just goes beyond that air column, which all becomes a horizon, a horizontal eye zone, and it just goes beyond it because it's above it.
Right. I say that the sun is like a flashlight pulling away from you. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. You don't see it. And the fact is there's particulate concentration in the air in our lower atmosphere, and that starts to obliterate and obscure what you're seeing, right?
100%. So people say, flat Earth is dying. Well, no, YouTube took down the scoreboard when flat Earth became the #1 searched topic on Google. When it beat President Trump and Britney Spears, they took down the scoreboard. No longer does it tell you how many results you had. And flat Earth is actually growing exponentially, as we can tell. Our conferences are growing, and the people on my app, they're all over the world. It's quite incredible on how many people are here. Here is the people just near me. Okay, here's another piece of evidence that maybe I do live in Connecticut. Okay, these are just the people near me. And when you zoom out, maybe I could zoom out. The people around the world, it's incredible how many people there are, and it's growing every day. And when you become, here's the thing. Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson, they say, we don't need to talk about flat Earth. We don't need time for that. But flat Earth is becoming such a problem that they're constantly making hit pieces on us. They're strawmanning us. If the Earth was a globe, why would they need to strawman us? Why don't they make a Friday night, Saturday night special on a big network and show all the students in the world that the Earth is a globe? They can't. Okay, they can't. These are the people that literally have my app, and that I'd say is less than 1% of the flat earthers out there. They're everywhere, and we're using their technology to get together, to pass information, and to help wake up others. It's incredible how many there are. We even have a guy two guys in Antarctica. If we go down here, I got a guy right here in Casey Station, right? So pretty amazing.
Yes. David, how do people get your app?
Everything I'm talking about, if you're hearing the show, if you have a show that you think I should be on, or know of a show, you can find everything at flatearthdave.com. Everything I'm talking about, including the app, can be found at flatearthdave.com. And the app is there. You can book me there. You can, if you don't want to get the app, that's fine. Scroll down to the crash course. Turn off Netflix. Most people listening to you probably don't have Netflix, but turn off the garbage and watch those videos in the crash course. They're free. They're amazing. And they're well done. They're entertaining. Watch them with the family. Watch them with your significant others, your kids, or by yourself. Doesn't matter. And they'll blow your mind, right?
Okay.
Even especially if you think the flat Earth is dumb. Go ahead.
All right, listen. I like the dining table proof. I have had a lot of people tell me, but I've seen the curve of the Earth. And if you stand at the beach, as I have done many times, and you look around you panoramically, you will see what looks like a half circle around you, but it isn't. It's your dining table.
We all see in the same direction. We see in the same direction in all directions, right? So if I'm standing at the edge on a tiny little island, perfectly calm water, clear day, I can see X distance in front of me. 12 o'clock, but let's say where the sky meets the ground and my eyes can't discern any farther. That's my horizon. At 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, it's the same distance. That draws a circle around you, your circle of vision, okay? And if you put a straight edge on a photo of that, it's going to look like there's curvature, but there's not. That's just a straight edge drawn on a picture. But we see in a circle. That's how we see the world.
Right. So if you get down on your knees and you look across your round dining room table, it's going to look round, but it's not a globe. It is flat. You're looking at a flat surface across a flat surface. That, to me, is significant.
Right. So here I have I call this my vision circle. You got a guy standing here. He sees X distance this way, same distance in all directions. You draw a line and tangent. There's curvature. Earth is a globe. No, it's not. This is just how far you can see the land, right? You see the same distance in all directions, right? If that was Earth curvature and you took your finger and followed it, by the time you turned around, you'd be pointing at your feet. Well, no, the horizon's at the same level all the way around you because you're seeing in a circle. We'd actually see the same if we lived on a globe or on a flat Earth. We see a certain distance in all directions. The problem is when you go up higher, we should start seeing the horizon dropping, but the horizon tries to rise to eye level as long as you can see far enough.
Right. That's the case from a plane. Now, David, what's happened to your family relations with this obsession of yours?
Yeah, great. Well, I think it's a healthy obsession. And, when I stopped crying that the Earth wasn't a ball and I realized that I'm at the center of creation. I'm a powerful being and that I'm learning how to navigate this world through all of the satanic nonsense. Life couldn't be any better. Now, my sister and brother, they're what I call normies, all right? I want to say they believe everything. My sister lives in Connecticut, very close to that place where there was a school. And therefore, it's real. And she can't see any of that. They don't even understand that they're spraying our skies or that anything other than what the news said about 9/11 is real. So I don't even discuss this with them. Actually, we've literally stopped talking because I can't have a fake conversation with them. And I just can't do it. So unfortunately, I haven't talked to my brother and sister since the day my mother died, which was, I don't know, it's been 2 years now. I forget. And it's sad, but I'm letting them have their journey. And maybe one of my motivations is if I wake up the whole world and the whole world flips, they're going to have to look back at crazy David Weiss, and we can start talking again. So it is sad, but honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't take the blue pill and go back into the Matrix because the world is amazing. The word boredom doesn't exist anymore. I almost couldn't remember the word because the world is fascinating. On the app, if you hit the web, the one that looks like a spider web, which is right there, and you go, I call that the more resources page. There's all sorts of stuff here, but the lost history, Tartaria section, biogeology, giant trees. Look into that stuff. It will blow your mind. In the homeschool section, there's this guy here. He's called My Lunch Break. You can just find him on the web if you want. Amazing. He takes these old buildings and he looks at the stories of when they were founded, not builded. They were founded. Okay. And the stories are ridiculous. They're absolutely insane. And if you look at these buildings, we couldn't build them today with modern equipment, but they did it back then with horse and buggies. It's nonsense, and it's hysterical. And I say this is something you should watch with the whole family, with the kids. Let them learn. Let them learn our true history. You know, everything about our history is a lie, right? All sorts of other amazing stuff, deep, flat earth stuff here on Schooling Globers. We have John Levy, again, once a week. He puts out a 20, 30-minute video, fantastic on the old world, and great stuff.
All right. Well, listen, thank you for that overview, and congratulations to you on your enthusiasm and the depth to which you've dived on all this, right? I'm really impressed, David. I'm really happy that I was the start of it all.
You were, and long before Flat Earth, when we became friends, you really held my feet to the fire about just making me a better researcher. You taught me how to dive deep and to believe nothing and to really verify everything. So you're responsible for me. So anyone that has a problem with me, I'm going to send them your way.
All right. Well, thank you, David. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to have you on again to discuss things in greater depth. And our show is coming to an end. The Mixed Nuts Show, you've just seen one of the biggest of the nuts. And he is who he is, and we're very grateful to him and all his hard work. And you can find him at flatearthdave.com. Find me at avatarproducts.com, sofiasmallstorm.com. So thank you, everybody, and please continue to support People for People Radio, peopleforpeople.ning.com.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.